Hello and welcome to White Space. You'll have noticed that Bill isn't with us this week. He is on a beach in Italy sunning himself. Hello Bill, I hope you're watching. Anyway, speaking of sunshine, that brings us neatly to our first item this week. Amazon is making best use of sunshine in Virginia. It's paying to have an 18 megawatt solar farm built, which is interesting, and it's very good in a public relations way for Amazon. It's had a lot of stick from Greenpeace because it promised it was going to go 100% renewable, but has not actually got that far in terms of telling people a roadmap for when it's going to get there. This is the second renewable energy deal Amazon has done this year, the previous one being 150 megawatts in Indiana. Now, other things to say about these are the fact that Amazon now has 25% of its energy coming from renewable sources, which is very creditable. They've come back at Greenpeace on the basis of the criticism. They're saying that never mind the source of Amazon's energy, if IT loads get put onto the Amazon cloud, they use so much less resources than they would on a private cloud that it's a win for the environment anyway, no matter what source they're using. They say something like 80% less energy is used if you've put your IT load from presumably old-fashioned non-virtualized servers onto fully consolidated cloud loads.
Exactly. I wonder how many facts and figures there are about this claim, because 80%, that seems awful lot, isn't it?
There's a blog post that explains that in somewhat more detail. Not 80%, 88% reduction in carbon.
Ooh, as opposed to something which was built in the 70s.
Right, yeah. Amazon is doing a very good thing here, and we wish them the best, and we want to hear more of this as it goes along. Yes.
Yes.
However, if we wanted to nitpick, shall we nitpick? Let's nitpick. On the Amazon press release, it says it's an 80 megawatts solar farm, which of course means it doesn't operate all the time. So if you multiply that by the number of hours in a year, you get a big figure. And they do tell us what the actual output over the year will be. 170,000 megawatt hours of, the release says power, but of course megawatt hour is a unit of energy. So small bad Amazon, 170,000, but 170,000 megawatt hours of renewable energy is good, whatever word you use for it. Well done.
Congratulations. Talking about large-scale projects, Switch has started building its huge data center complex in Reno, Nevada. Now it's going to consist of 7 buildings, and it's going to pretty much copy a similar facility they have in Vegas. So Switch is staying in Nevada. It keeps building these huge things, like the one in Vegas. I think they've got 3 phases complete, 1 under construction, and another 3 planned for the future. So they haven't even fitted all of that out, and they're already building a new one. And they are going after the sort of tech crowds in San Francisco and Los Angeles as well. So they're installing loads of fiber.
So we don't often hear about Switch, just get the occasional story from it, although it's clearly huge. Is it just entirely in Nevada at the moment?
Yeah, that's it. And and they're also the only provider sort of certified Tier 4 across the board, and they have it across for both facilities. So you get guarantees of reliability and good design, and I guess low power consumption.
That's like policy. They won't build a data center unless it's Tier 4.
Pretty much, but if you only have like 2, even if they're very large facilities, I guess that's not too hard.
And if they ever do step outside Nevada, where are they likely to go?
Yes, so they've promised similar. The facility is called SuperNap, and I mean the latest one is going to cost them $1 billion over 10 years, I think. But they are threatening to take the same model to Europe and Asia in the nearest future. So. Hopefully something's gonna come to our shores.
Good. Meanwhile, on the beach in Italy, Bill is taking a super nap. So yes, I did get out of the office once this week. I went to see Rackspace because they were in London for the first ever of their customer events, Rackspace Solve, to happen in the UK.
So what do they solve?
Well, they solved my dilemma of what to do on a Wednesday. And if it was Wednesday.
Yes.
They solved my dilemma of where to go that day. And they also spoke excitedly about all the things they're doing. And to be honest, there was one thing which I hadn't realised about Rackspace that came out a little more clearly in this, and that's the extent to which Rackspace does things outside its own data centres. I'm afraid that name still makes me think, even though I know they are, whatever their current tagline is, they are the managed cloud provider or whatever it is, I still think Rackspace, they're like, they've got a data centre and they put your kit in it. But actually, they manage your kit on their data centre, in their racks, or they manage it on your site. They manage private clouds outside their own space.
So maybe the previous tagline, fanatical support, applies a little bit more here.
Yeah, it probably does. I think they've been sort of backed into this. They've had customers that want this, so they found themselves ending up managing big clouds. People come to them and say, you've got a huge OpenStack cloud, could you manage ours for us? And they end up involved with other people's hardware, other people's kit, wherever it happens to be, and even sometimes managing applications like Microsoft Office 365 or Google Apps for Business that are outside on someone else's cloud. So there's a kind of life cycle in the industry where hardware vendors, eventually when their hardware is not as exciting as it used to be, they end up as service providers. People like HP and IBM seem to be going that way fairly rapidly. It's interesting to see it happening for slightly different reasons to a hosting provider. And the thing about doing the services is that's what provides them with the extra bit of revenue, which will enable them to continue to be independent, they say. Because a year or so back, there was a lot of talk about Rackspace being the wrong size. It's not as big as an Equinix or someone like that, so it can't manage to survive on its own. That's what people said. It can't cut its revenue. It can't cut the margins on its services, and so it would have to be swallowed up by a bigger provider. Their answer is that they can carry on doing high quality cloud services for a slight extra margin and making other money by the services that spin off from that. So it's, business model seems to be working for them.
Future bright for Rackspace.
So, Max, you've had something about servers. No, storage.
Storage, yes. On the storage side, we finally reached the point where we have 10 terabyte hard drives. And I mean, this is great. This is amazing. 10 is such a nice round number.
Yes, because you've got 10 terabytes of stuff you want to put, haven't you?
No, I struggle to fill my 2 terabyte hard drive, but the beautiful thing about these things, so the drives are produced by HDST, they're a subsidiary of Western Digital, and they combine two very interesting technologies. So on one side there's helium, and helium is something their competitors or competitor said will never work because you can't seal helium inside. The gas atoms are too small. No, apparently they are more reliable than traditional hard drives. There's less vibration, less heat, they go on for longer, and helium turns out to be all around a good thing. So what they bring into the mix to make it 10 terabytes is shingle magnetic recording. Now, shingle magnetic recording takes its name from roof shingles, and they overlay each other, right? So they don't let the water through. In exactly the same manner, in an HDD hard drive, magnetic tracks overlay each other. So it's basically slightly longer writing, but you get loads of space. So they're positioning these hard drives as primarily for archiving purposes. So perhaps, competing with the new kinds of tape and other crazy approaches to cold storage, like Frank Frankowski's Blu-rays. So yeah, more storage in the same amount of space. That's a considerable hike from 8 terabytes. That's sort of like the previous record. And something that we expected for a long time, but we didn't know when it's going to happen, and the time is now.
Good. Okay. That sounds exciting. And wherever you are, we hope you're enjoying the summer as it progresses. Or actually, that's a bit silly thing to say, isn't it? Because wherever you are, it might not be summer.
No, you might be stuck in Lulea, you know, making Facebook servers work behind the Arctic Circle.
So, wherever you are, we hope you're having a good weekend. Or that's not even the case, is it? So, right.
Just have a good time.
Okay. So, that's all from White Space this week. See you next week.
Bye-bye.